What's good, listeners? Welcome to the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show. Good morning, Marissa. How's it going, fam? Oh, we got you muted, though. I got you.
Let me in? Am
Nah,
I?
I
Oh,
let
I
you
was
in.
muted. Now I'm not. See,
No,
let
no,
me
we
talk.
want to we
Let
want to
me
hear your
talk.
beautiful soul. Yeah, let you talk.
um,
What's cooking up? How you doing?
no, things are going good. I'm going to meet up with my nieces who are out here from Arizona today for lunch down by
Beautiful.
Disneyland. Yes, I won't be going in Disneyland because it was $363 without parking for one
Oh my.
day for two people.
Well,
So I'll be
isn't it
meeting
kind of
them
spring
for
break?
lunch outside.
Spring break's kind of kicking in early for some
Hmm.
cats. So, yeah, it's kind of the tussle. But you know what? Maybe that's why we're starting to see those sun rays. Maybe your cousins are giving you the good vibes, your
They
friends.
brought the Arizona sun to us.
That's right. No, it's so cool. And I know we always want to start off the show with things that are kind of circulating across the web this year. And believe it or not, MLB opening day is literally starting next Thursday. And you guys might remember this iconic moment that happened 22 years ago on this day. Randy Johnson literally demolishing a bird. Do you remember
I
that,
do
Marissa,
remember
when that
that.
happened in real
I
time?
actually do remember that. And it was a dove, which is like supposed to be the bird of love and peace and good luck. And I'm like, well, he's got bad luck coming now.
Well, it's so amazing. Like Randy Johnson was like, I remember as a kid, like everybody's like kind of like favorite athlete growing up. He was so like long and like just kind of like abnormal looking, stepping on the pitching mound. And then when he delivered that pitch, I mean, that's gonna forever follow him. But did you know that Randy Johnson actually is still working to this day in some capacity of the sports world? He's actually an NFL photographer.
Oh,
So you might be able to see.
I would not have gotten that. I would have been like behind the scenes, helping run a team, doing some pitching. I just was like, wouldn't have thought of photography.
Yeah, I guess that was like an old passion of his that he discovered at a later time. And I'm with you, but I would have thought he would have stuck with baseball. But maybe when you play the game that you love and you admire since you were a wee little lad, you're probably not going to want to invest all your time into the baseball world. You want to venture out, go meet some new faces, some new stars, a new field of destination. But also, there was another incredible news that was circulating on the web this week, which is actually funny enough, Marissa. I feel like you and we've been hyping this up for
Yeah.
quite a while now. Now it's actually gonna be happening. Pokemon has officially moved on from Ash, Ketchum, and Pikachu. 26 years of them carrying the franchise, and now we have two new faces that you see in just below here, the brand new trailer that just dropped this morning, which is Likoi and Roy, who are going to be the new faces of the Pokemon franchise. And you might notice a new character, Marissa. It's Captain Pikachu. Not Pikachu,
Oh, he's a
Captain
Captain
Pikachu.
Pikachu. What? Is it so he's like a totally different Pikachu, or did Pikachu just get a new career?
I haven't invested my life into a Pokemon game in so long, Marissa. But it seems like when everybody was on the hype train on your iPhone or wherever you were playing, your device is the Pokemon Go. Like the real world, walk to your local park and you might be able to catch a Pokemon. That's when they started putting outfits on these creatures, which I think is quite hilarious. And then, Marissa, I
No
gotta
naked
know.
creatures.
That's right. No naked creatures
Oh,
anymore.
wait, is Zach Greer, are you on paternity leave right now, which is why you're able to watch our show live?
That's right, baby. And you know what? Congrats. That's one of my best friends
Yeah,
right there.
I saw the baby on
Zach Greer.
social. Congratulations, adorable.
Yes, we're very excited for you, my friend. And also, I wanted to reference this at the top of the show since you are an actress, Marissa. What are your thoughts on Paramount in the works with an Alfred Hitchcock remake? Vertigo,
Love
starring
it.
Robert Downey Jr.
Love it. Love
Really?
it. Love it. Love it. Yep. I love
I mean,
Alfred Hitchcock.
that's something
I
that we're
love his
definitely going to
I
be.
love Robert Downey Jr. I'm all for it. And bring it back. Scare me. Let's do this.
If they can pull it off. I mean, I get fearful. I mean, Alfred Hitchcock, I feel like, is like a gentleman that you just never touch his work. We want to preserve it. But then that's the thing. We're going to be bringing that up with an amazing guest lineup that we got this Friday on the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show. But there are a lot of remakes and remasters happening in the video game industry, just like how there is in television and film. And it seems like the video game industry gets a hall pass and not so much when it comes to the entertainment landscape of visual medium. And since I'm already kind of hyping up who's coming on the show, let's get it, fam. Our guest joining us on Just Talking is HenricK The WrecK, my co-host of video game talk show Rage Quit, as well as director of community development at Ubisoft. That is Dan Mitre. And we got a double whammy. And what I mean by double whammy is we got Dan Mitre coming on not one segment, but 2 segments. He's also in a kick-ass punk rock trio. They're called Distortions, and we're going to be talking about their EP. It's called Flies, out now wherever you listen to music. And also check out my music podcast series called Off the Fret, more music talk, featuring Nashville country star Amanda Cooksey, out now on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. But you know what, Marissa? It is time to rock and roll. This one's called Say It.
I'm beyond livid.
That's what's been irking me like crazy.
Psycho X.
We hope that he grows from this.
No, legit, I was trying to figure that out also.
Whatever's on our mind, there's something that's been griping.
So, I get to just say it.
That's my question, Marissa. This is Say It, where Marissa and I discuss the news that is circulating, not just the nation, but across the globe this week. And China said Thursday that it would oppose the Biden administration's call for Beijing-based ByteDance to sell its stake in TikTok or face a nationwide ban in the United States.
Hey everyone, it's Shou here. I'm the CEO of TikTok. I'm here in Washington, D.C. today, and I have some news and updates to share with everyone here. Today, I'm super excited to announce that more than 150 million Americans are on TikTok. That's almost half of the US coming to TikTok to connect, to create, to share, to learn, or just to have some fun. This includes 5 million businesses that use TikTok to reach their customers, and the majority of these are small and medium businesses. Now, these numbers are amazing, and I'm so thankful to all of you and the 7,000 TikTok employees in the US.
That's nearly half the nation on TikTok. Holy moly. Let's bring you back up on screen for a moment, Marissa, because it doesn't seem like America is too concerned about TikTok. Should we?
Be concerned?
Yeah.
When it comes to our privacy, our information, our data, just going straight to another country, I don't care what country it is. It's another country. It's not America. Yeah. Yes, should be concerned. And yes, there needs to be an oversight. Do I think they should take away TikTok because kids are accessing it and they're being fed stuff for body dysmorphia, suicide, stuff like that? No. You know why? It's parents' job to parent their child.
I know there have been some people in Congress who are advocating that a lot of more social media platforms, not just TikTok, but all of them out there should have an age requirement. We'll see whether that actually comes through. But I know the TikTok CEO, Shouzi Chu, made 4 commitments to U.S. lawmakers. Let's take a look.
Number 1, we will keep safety, particularly for teenagers, as a top priority for us. Number 2, we will firewall protected US data from unwanted foreign access. Number 3, TikTok will remain a place for free expression and will not be manipulated by any government. And 4th, we will be transparent and we will give access to third-party independent monitors to remain accountable for our commitments.
Well, it was kind of interesting during this, Marissa, because I know whether or not, people think that, U.S. should ban TikTok. Let's not kid ourselves. TikTok is a business. It's not a public service. So if China wants its user information, it will get it. So I'm totally with you on that, Marissa. So it'll be interesting what they do, because I know even the CEO of TikTok during the Congress hearing wasn't being really straightforward when they asked him a very simple question. Were you advised by anybody from the Chinese Communist Party ahead of the hearing about what to say? And he couldn't even say it.
Well, I mean, come on. People disappear in China. Like, do you think that I would honestly say, yes, the Chinese government coached me or even dropped in or said a line, if that second I went back to China, I would disappear. I mean, come on, people. Let's be real about this. I think the fact that he's willing, as a CEO, to put together the steps to protect our information. I know parents are all up in arm about the teens. You know what? Take your teen off it.
Well, I don't think
Personally,
it's so
but
much
they're
the
going to go
teen.
for it. Is that is one of their talking points on
Well,
TikTok.
right.
That is one of the
But I
main things
know,
which he addresses.
yes,
So
and
he's
I
going to
think,
address it.
well, one of the final notes that I'll say, and you're right, Marissa, but I guess the other thing was they also deleted a bunch of data before the hearing that got a lot of people kind of wigged out because, some people feel like, how ironic that they want to delete information before we even demanded it. So what are they hiding? That's where we'll leave it off at. But if you guys have something to say about this matter, definitely join in on the conversation live, but stick around because we have so much more left on the Chris College Show, Millennial Talk Show. What's good, listeners? Joining us on Just Talking is Director of Community Development at Ubisoft. That is Dan Mitre, including my co-host of video game talk show, Rage Quit, HenricK The WrecK, live on the Chris College Show, Millennial Talk Show. How's it going, fam?
Woo, woo, woo!
Just finishing up my TikTok. Hang on.
Get that TikTok, Michi. Get that TikTok.
So you're one of the half the nation that's completely involved on TikTok. And I know HenricK The WrecK, and including the CCS families on there. What do you guys have to say about this potential nationwide ban that might be happening to all Americans?
I don't think it's going to happen, honestly, considering just like a kid who gets banned from being able to get cookies from the cookie jar, Americans are going to find some way to access TikTok if they ban it.
I think that's a good point, especially considering how every single leaked video game or even movie or television that's already in the theaters right now. I wouldn't be amazed that John Wick 4 is already online for anybody to watch it without even having to buy a movie ticket. So yeah, I think there are some firewalls that you could break through. What do you think, Dan?
Haven't we tried to ban mature video games in the US here already? Why are we now trying to ban a social network in which its usage comes down to the users? And to Marissa's point, to good parenting, right?
Yep.
People are going to
Yes.
find a way to do this. Plus, it drives way too much money.
So
Dude.
true.
And that's the bottom line, peeps. That's the bottom line. Businesses are making money on it. And look, if the government is so worried about China spying on the government officials, you know what? Then ban government officials from being on it. But you don't have to ban me.
Yeah, we can
right?
ban it on their government devices. So
Get
true.
the president off TikTok, all right?
I mean, I
Yeah.
guess we'll leave it at this final note. Congress is still using fax machines. So the fact that they're actually going to be having a say in TikTok, I think that speaks for itself. But let's go back into video games because that's what we're here for on Just Talking. And the 2023 BAFTA Games Awards are due to take place on Thursday, March 30th, and speculation about who is going to win is already heating up. And what's really cool about this event is there are over 45 different game titles that are nominated this year with 18 different categories. Whether 45 different game titles deserve to be nominated is a question that we will be asking, but let's go ahead and showcase the first award, Marissa, on the screen as our we have the EE Game of the Year. It is the only award voted for in the public. And so anybody that's tuning in right now, you can get your voice heard, but I want to know from Dan Mitre and HenricK The WrecK, when you see these 6 games listed on screen, what is your choice for EE Game of the Year?
We see a lot of the same games that are from the Game Awards, and we saw that one with Elden Ring, so I'm going to say Elden Ring for sure.
Is
That's
that
my
really
choice.
how you feel?
Oh, of course. That game was talked about for months, Chris.
That's true, but they are in a little bit of trouble, considering how Archangel Studios kind of clapped back because, Archangel Studios is being accused of stealing, digital assets that mimic some of the skeleton play that's in Elden Ring. So will that play a factor? We'll see what's good. But when it comes to you, Dan Mitre, what is your EE game of the year?
Oh man, I mean, like Henrik was saying, Elden Ring just took us over by storm, right? Like, and if you love that Dark Souls gameplay and that relentless just punishment, Elden Ring was your game. But Stray looks awesome. Stray was one of my PS5 launch titles that I was looking forward to. But honestly, I'm a God of War sucker. Like, come on. The first
See,
God of War was awesome. Ragnarok just as bad.
I don't even play video games, and I love God of War.
See,
Respectful
1000%.
choice.
I was waiting for somebody to say God of War because we keep talking about this, like, quote unquote Mount Rushmore of iconic video game characters, and to see that this badass sequel to, the last one, I'm amazed that none of you guys referenced that game first. Like, Elden Ring definitely takes on the nod because I know with the BAFTA Games Awards, God of War leads with 15 nods, making it the most nominated game in the history of the BAFTA Awards. But you guys are saying that
it's the Beyonce of BAFTA Awards.
exactly. That's a good point. Beyonce has never won an album of the year at the Grammys, but she's considered the most nominated artist of all time. So are you guys saying that Elden Ring's going to come in and spoil the party?
No,
Well, I
my
think that
vote was God of War, man.
I mean, God of War won a lot of awards in the Game Awards as well. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they walk away with a handful of them at least. So
Okay, all right, fair enough. Well, hey, Marissa, let's go ahead and showcase the best game that's up here. So we have Cult of the Lamb. I wasn't really too sure what that game was. I was quite surprised to even see Marvel Snap up there and Vampire Survivors. But looking at this, it seems like everybody's in cahoots. Are we all screaming Elden Ring?
Oh yeah, definitely. At least I am.
Then we don't even need to discuss that topic because it seemed
Wait,
like
Dan,
everybody
didn't
was
you
on it.
say that Stray, your company helped put that out?
Oh no, mine
No.
Oh, I thought you said that. Okay.
No. That's a totally separate entity. But, I played Stray. It's a great game. It's a lot of fun. But let's go ahead and skip because we don't want to stay forever on the BAFTAs. But I do want to discuss one of the last topics. We'll do the multiplayer as well. We can have some fun with this. When I look at the whole scope of this, I was quite surprised to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles up there. But unless anybody played that game, I slept on it. But I kind of have a feeling this might go to EA Sports FIFA 23, considering how they're about to be moving away from EA, and FIFA is going to be starting up their own video game franchise. So this is considered an end of an era. But I want to know from Dan Mitre and HenricK The WrecK, what do you guys got?
Dude, I was all over that Turtles game. Totally. You got to play that, dude. Great side scroller. Feels good. Feels like the arcade Turtles in time.
I love
Really?
it.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
you're missing out, Chris. That game was great. Like, my friends and I love that game.
Okay, fair enough. See, I honestly thought that was the sleeper, but we got two.
Hold on.
cats.
We got a comment. It is not EA Recycle Garbo, dude. Same game as 2005.
Is that not what sports games are? It's just a roster update. Come on now.
Yeah, come on,
true.
man. What a hater, Zach.
Go change a diaper.
Yeah, go change a diaper. Hey, but let's go ahead and do a performer in a leading role, Marissa. We'll do that as our final topic. The reason why I want to bring this up is 9 out of the 12 people named in the performer categories, including the supporting role, are among this year's first-time nominees. It seems like a lot of people have Christopher Judge as the favorite, but I want to know, do you guys have anybody that might be able to kind of jab with Christopher Judge when it comes to Kratos?
You know what? I'm gonna have to say Christopher Judge really knocked it out of the park in God of War, and I think that compared to the other people, I know they were great also, but you can't really compare, really.
What
Not
about
at
you,
all.
Dan?
Not at all. He has that kind of voice where you put him on a mic, you have to filter out the lows. Like, it's just this booming, boy, And his performance
Boy.
across all of God of War was incredible. My vote goes to Christopher Judge.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. When you show up at the Games Award, not the BAFTA Awards, and you hold down for the longest speech of all times, surpassing even in the Academy Awards, yeah, I have a feeling that they're going to easily give it to Christopher Judge. But you know what? Let's start to switch gears because Dan, HenricK The WrecK, and I discussed on Rage Quit, our video game talk show, some of the most anticipated games of the year, and we noticed a trend. Many of the games are remakes and remasters of older games. And it always seems like in the video game world, they get a hall pass compared to television and cinema. People are so sick and tired of seeing their beloved artwork get remastered. So are you a fan of studio developers revisiting the past?
I am where it makes sense. You know, from a development standpoint, there are a lot of efficiencies. The skeleton's already there, and we are upgrading to a next gen platform with new graphics, with new features. But there's a challenge. You're up against some nostalgic factor. Can you develop a experience that not only has something fresh, but pays homage to the experience that we all loved? And we've seen some games do that very well. We've seen some games tank at it. Dead Space remake. Awesome remake. Visceral Studios did an awesome job on that one. I got to work on Battlefield 5 back in the day, which could be considered a sequel to 1942. And that one was a tough one, you know, like you had a lot of nostalgic memory and feeling on 42. But I think where it makes sense is, does it make sense from a development standpoint? How much cost does it have? And is there affinity for it still? Is there an appetite for it? Don't do it just for the sake of padding your catalog. Do it for the sake of the community.
I think that's a good point. And
fire!
HenricK,
That needed to be on TikTok. That was a TikTok statement.
so HenricK, yeah, right. So HenricK, how do you think studios can balance catering to like nostalgic fans while also creating something new and authentic to a wider audience?
Well, like for example, a remake that I'm really looking forward to is the System Shock remake. Unfortunately, it did get delayed a little bit more, but that game, when it first came out, for example, it had tank controls, meaning you didn't even have mouse support. You were just all playing on the keyboard the entire time. You were moving, you were using the arrow keys. To update that to the new conventions of gaming where you have keyboard and mouse support and just the graphics overhaul in general, like I think that in itself is kind of what Dan is talking about, where it's like, it makes sense to remake this if there's an aptitude for it, because that game came out so long ago that it just doesn't even, no one's going to play it. No one's going to go back and try and play that.
Okay, I hear you, HenricK The WrecK, but I guess that kind of goes off of what I was saying at the top of the show. Paramount is working on a remake for Vertigo, which is Alfred Hitchcock's film. And I feel like that's a film you just don't touch. So, like, are you saying that there's certain older games that, yes, you should revisit, and then there's some that, you know, like, I don't know, like, I felt like when they revisited GoldenEye, it was like, really? Do we really need another update on this?
Yeah, I would say, at least when it comes to movies, there are some remakes that are better than the originals, I will say. Now, Alfred Hitchcock's a little hard to be better than, because he's such a legendary filmmaker.
You cannot be better. His movie will always be iconic, will always be
exactly
there.
Thank you,
but
Marissa.
I love the fact that they're going to bring it back, put a spin, make it for people who, I'm talking about, I work with a woman. I love her to death. She's 22. Or just turned 23. Doesn't even know who Alfred Hitchcock is. Okay.
Oh no, these damn Gen Zers.
So, you know what I mean? Take down, you could take this, they could all of a sudden find a love for it, and then Google Alfred Hitchcock. Oh, wait, here's an original. And then we can open up some more eyes to some vintage classics.
Can we establish the best remake of all time here? Best remake of all time, Evil Dead 2. Come on.
Ooh, I love Evil Dead 2. That
was a good one.
Bomb remake. I'm going to go with you on that one.
I
never go wrong with zombies.
But it does seem like the hype train is real for Resident Evil 4, so we'll see what's good. But you know what? I definitely want to bring this up since you guys are both heavily involved in the video game industry, and that is the Olympics, elevating esports to the main stage with its first ever Olympic esports series. without any actual esports games. So, what are your thoughts on the committee's decision to exclude video games that promote violence, such as League of Legends, Battlefield, Call of Duty, from the Olympic Games?
So I'm stoked that we have Just Dance as an Ubisoft title. I'm very honored to be working closely with that and the teams on that. And that paves way. Like it makes sense. You are in a very active,
That's true.
moving sort of that can be considered a sport. Absolutely. Have you tried DDR? After 3 songs, I feel like I just ran a marathon. Just Dance the same way. But let's talk about Olympics, right? The Olympics is a E for everybody entertainment, right? This is syndicated across the world, across different networks and streaming, and it needs to be something that all ages can consume. Why would you put a mature rated title in front of an E-rated program? It doesn't make sense.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
You
but
don't want to have that
definitely.
parent that actually does parent sitting there with their kid and being like, oh, whoa, 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 blowing off heads. Here's my 5-year-old. Great.
But what do you say to the some gamers that are arguing that the exclusion of violent video games, such as Call of Duty, Battlefield, and League of Legends, for example, is a form of censorship and that it limits artistic and creative expression? I mean, what is your response to that?
I'm interested to see what HenricK thinks from the
HenricK.
outside standpoint. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
HenricK, what do you think?
I would say, yeah, it is for a lot of gamers going to be disappointing that, you don't have games like League of Legends or Call of Duty in the Olympics esports, because when a lot of gamers think esports, they think those games, like those have leagues where people compete for real money as is. But it does make sense, looking from like Marissa's point of view as a parent, like if I'm watching the Olympics and the esports segment comes on and all of a sudden you have a Call of Duty scene playing, like that, maybe we got to go watch something else.
Look,
because
even hockey players clean up their act in the Olympics. Okay.
That's true. And
you don't see as much fighting. You don't see as much fighting. You don't see as much blood. You know what I mean? They even clean it up for the Olympics, right? We have a regular esports. You guys already have stuff for that. This is the Olympics.
But
like
it sounds
Mitre
like
said, it's on a platform. This is amazing.
But it sounds like you guys are saying that violence in video games have real world consequences.
No, I am not.
No.
It comes down
I'm
to
not saying
parenting.
that.
It comes down to proper psychological health. And that's a whole other show right there, talking about the mental health and the support we provide our children and our peers and stuff. But look, esports is, in all intents and purposes, defined as any game that is played competitively. And hey, if you're throwing money behind it, you're throwing some sort of prestige, I'm going to have to say Just Dance and Tennis Clash are just about to be in esports.
Yeah. No, I hear you on that one. But my personal feeling is, after watching the World Baseball Classic, didn't that kind of feel like war? I mean, when we had, Mexico and Japan going at it, I mean, that was a bloodbath. And then once we got Japan and USA together, I felt like that was the kind of intensity that we could use in the esports series. Because when I see a mobile device game like Tic-Tac-Bow that's only been available for like less than 2 months on the Olympic stage, how does that get anybody hyped up? And so, since we're like talking about the whole esports and everything, since it is kind of becoming a permanent fixture in the Olympics, do you believe that esports players will be held to the same standards as a traditional athlete when it comes to like drug testing, fair play, and regulation in the game?
Yeah, I think
I would hope so.
Really? Because I like to think that every game.
Just because they're doing esports doesn't mean they're not athletes. We had this conversation on one of my shorts that I worked with you, Chris, where Shaq was saying, yeah, these esports athletes are definitely athletes just like sports athletes. They have the same amount of rigorous training that they have to go through as regular athletes.
What was the documentary that followed the a team of esport people, and it showed that like how well they had to eat, and they had physical trainers to help them, so they weren't just sitting there. They had to physically move and do it, and making sure they're having the right water and the nutrients. I was just
going to say, Marissa, most gamers don't watch a documentary about.
I watched it. I was like, do it.
They actually participated in the games. So, what about you, Dan? Do you think they're going to start getting drug testing? Because I feel like the sex, drugs, and rock and roll carries in with the gaming world. I mean, I feel like nobody plays good if they're not at least on a little bit of some energy or boost.
So, look, in a past life, I ran a company called New Wave Esports. We invested in esports leagues, tournament operators, teams, and many of those teams and leagues did drug test. And that is a real thing. Like you cannot have a stacked advantage over someone else because you're on Adderall or you're crushing something that's completely illegal, right? And that does not send the right message to people who watch esports too, our children, the people who love this thing. So no, I don't think it's appropriate to allow drug use in those sanctioned events. Now, are we talking about publishers and developers? I think we would all probably be out of a job at this point. So esports is a different arena here.
Okay, fair enough.
You crushing the Adderall in the back, Dan? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I'm feeling good today, Marissa.
Deadline. There we are.
Hey, so true on that. So, guys, definitely keep a lookout. The Olympics Esports Series is going to be happening on June 22nd and June 25th in Singapore. But we wanted to talk about this because HenricK The WrecK and I on our video game talk show, Rage Quit, have been exploring how GPT-4 and AI is the talk of the town with gamers, discussing its impact on the video game industry. And with AI in GPT-4 requires at all times internet connection, which brings this whole new plague that everybody's hating in the year 2023, where always online single player games are frustrating gamers and is sort of sounding the alarm on piracy. Should we be concerned, Dan? I mean, you are in, the publisher side of the video game world.
So in terms of privacy and privacy for our users is specifically more the question, right?
Yes.
Yeah, no, we have a response. We have an obligation to keep our information private. Absolutely. And we take big measures to do so. That is the reason why people trust us, and sharing their information with us really does help us craft better games, better services for them. And we need to keep that private. We need to keep that safe. Absolutely.
And HenricK The WrecK, I mean, as we've been exploring this on Rage Quit, I mean, what are ways that AI can analyze player data and feedback so that it can improve, the game design and development?
Well, I see it as like, okay, if you're getting data like, oh, okay, the players are going and talking to this NPC, or they're going to this area a lot, and maybe there's not as much as the developers really wanted to have in this area. Maybe AI could kind of, flesh out that area a little bit better. Or, that's just one example, maybe. Or maybe you could have a conversation with that NPC for longer than what was actually scripted by hand.
Intended for.
Things like
right?
that. Yeah, exactly.
I think that's a good point, but we have seen people manipulate GPT-4, like we talked about a couple weeks ago on Digital Trend, the magazine company. They actually had the robot talk back and say, hey, I want to be a human too. You should dump your wife. We're coming for you. So, Dan, when you see these kind of things, I mean, should there be any kind of ethical concern when it comes to game developers utilizing AI?
Well, let me augment HenricK's response here. We listen to a lot of different data when we develop our video games, both in a pre-development state, whether we're doing like workshops with players to give us direct feedback, or we're in a live state and we pull a lot of information from daily login sessions to telemetry data, like HenricK was saying, where are they congregating on a map? That stuff is information that we collect, and it is a part of the terms of use and that people accept when they install the games in our machines. Now, what do we do with that information? We have limitations in which we can do. Now, bringing in AI software to help us better interpret and conclude and draw some summaries off that data is something that we can do internally, but it's how we share that. And are we then providing that information to people, third parties, other private companies that people did not agree to, or maybe fishy, there might be some loophole there. And so that's where a good community policing comes into force. And we've seen that before. We've seen communities push back, say, no, hey, big platform, social network with the blue icon, you cannot share my information.
The blue icon.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because we are talking about GPT-4 and we're talking about AI, a lot of people were, in written publications were stating that AI would be beneficial for gaming studio companies because they were claiming that probably half of the people that work in the gaming industry don't necessarily know how to program. They don't know how to code. They're not story writers. So they believe that AI will ramp up the process to actually bring their tiny idea that's on a piece of paper to life. Is that how you see the video game industry utilizing AI technology?
We're starting to see some of that now. It does help some processes in creating assets and creating scripting, but there's always going to be a human element there. You got to have the human connection there. So yeah, you've seen a big trend of like art being generated by AI, and I've seen some stunning
Yeah.
pieces. We've seen some in-game assets being created to quickly spin up assets that we already have and want to augment that with certain script injections or keywords, and that does help make a better quality asset at the end of the day because it's cheaper to do. Is that taking jobs from people? I think that's what we need to be concerned with.
Absolutely. And gentlemen, you guys have been awesome. And you know what, Dan Mitre, we definitely got to bring you on with HenricK The WrecK and I on our video game talk show, Rage Quit, one of these days, because you are such a bright and refreshing person to the gaming industry. We appreciate you. And HenricK The WrecK, I see you every Tuesday. So I already show all the love for you all the time. So I don't need to gloat about you anymore. But gentlemen, thank you guys so much for joining Just Talking. And
Thank
for
you.
everybody, College Show, Millennial Talk Show. Stick around because we have
Wow.
more left. What's good, listeners? Joining us live on Strike a Chord is North Carolina punk rock trio Distortions on the Chris College Show, Millennial Talk Show. Also, check out my brand new episode of Off the Fret, More Music Talk, featuring Nashville country star Amanda Cooksey, out now on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget to hit the notification bell and like and subscribe so you never miss a live show. So let's bring on the Motley Crew himself, Dan Mitre. He is the vocalist and guitarist of the group. So, Dan, how's it going, my man?
Oh, it's great to have. Thanks for having me back. This double feature has been awesome.
Dude,
I know.
this double
I feel
whammy
like
party
it's a
is so much fun.
deja vu.
Yeah.
Well, that just shows how talented you are on all scopes of entertainment. And I know that Distortions formed in the spring of 2021. And what brought all you guys together as a band?
Punk rock is very dear to my heart. And the punk rock community and the ethos that surrounds it is also something that I adopted, I subscribe to. It's a community that's built on lifting each other up, weeding out the negativity, and letting us live the way we want to live our lives through a celebration of diversity, inclusivity, and being compassionate with each other. And that is my motivation. And there just so happens to be a vehicle to get there and to live that every day, and that's through music. And I've always had this deep connection to just incredible riffs, that guitar sound that just makes you want to pick up a guitar and just like strum out a chord and speak your mind and express yourself in a musical way. And Distortions was born from that. It's a very passionate project. We talk about a lot of different themes, but we deliver it in a way that gets you moving. We go to these shows and we have our friends and fans come out, and these are just times when we need to connect with each other. We need to have that human relationship, and we have this communal energy in the air, and it's the spirit that we feed off of each other. That's what Distortions is doing. It's a community effect.
Yeah, and you guys glue together so well. And I know you partnered up with bassist Nick Jones, who's a former bassist for Bear vs. Shark in Bars of Gold, along with your drummer, Andrew Winter, who was a former drummer for Blitzkid and Reckless Dodger. So how did you guys first meet each other?
Well, I came out here to North Carolina and I said, all right, what's the punk scene look like here? Is there an opportunity to start bringing...
Yeah, is there a punk rock scene in North Carolina?
There definitely is.
Wow, there is. It is thriving, Chris. Marissa, you got to come out here.
I know,
Were you surprised?
I got to.
Were you surprised when you showed up to North Carolina that there was a punk rock scene? Were you generally concerned at first?
Yes, initially because of some of the politics here in the state.
Mhm.
Here in Raleigh, we're in a blue bubble. We have a lot of progressive thinking. Obviously, progressive left sort of thinking is synonymous with punk rock. And I came here, I'm like, oh, wow, this is incredible. There's a lot of LGBTQ movements here, a lot of advocates. We're helping each other on a daily basis with people, whether we're, afflicted with addiction or having
Mhm.
issues and challenges at home. We're here for each other. And I'm
That's
starting to
cool.
sense that. And all the bands here are really in support of each other. We're not cutting each other down and talking shit to get ahead. We know
So
that
it's
we need
not
to get together.
LA.
It-
Because
you,
LA,
you
I'm
said it.
telling you, man, like people don't even go support their friends. They're like, nah, I'm not gonna go out. I'm not gonna see you, but I'll go pay
Marissa, there
$75
was
to
a
see a band.
tornado watch this week in LA.
Not
I think I'm good staying at home.
a 1 day tornado.
But like, do you remember like the initial spark, Dan, that like made you want to start creating music again?
Again, well, I've always had some sort of capacity of creating music, but yes, it was the summer of 2021, and I needed to get some internal turmoil out, and I knew that a lot of other people are feeling the same way. And if I can express that through a guitar chord, through a line, through working with Nick Jones on bass, or the phenomenal rhythm section that Andrew Winter brings in, us three are also working on some of our own stuff, and we're bringing that out through the music of Distortions. And you can hear it on the record. You can hear the deep emotion and passion behind it, but it's not until you see us live and you get to experience that in motion when you really like, wow, this it clicks, it makes sense.
Oh, I'm
That's
totally with
awesome.
you on that one, man. I love a
Nothing
good
beats
sounding rock and roll band.
live music. Nothing beats live music.
Nope.
Oh yeah, it's so true. And I know Distortions introduced their debut EP Flies in the winter of 2022 with a breed of contagious riffs and badass artwork created by you, Dan Mitre, which I think is super badass. And you guys explore dark themes, addressing the dichotomies of helplessness and hope. And has your perspective on existence changed over time when you guys created this record?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, it's even more grounded. This is the path that we're going with Distortions, and that is addressing some very deep, strong, and foundational sort of things that we think about and deal with in our daily lives. So, exclusive to the show, the meanings behind a couple of our songs, it came for us is a song about battling depression
Mm.
and the demons that cover us on a daily basis, that just lash at our chest. But there's hope at the end of the day, that we
Yeah,
can persevere and we can endure, and that there
yeah.
is a reason to continue forward.
That's
I don't mean to
awesome.
keep cutting you off, like because you kind of made me think of this as you were talking. Can you describe a time where you felt helpless but found hope?
Yes, absolutely. I want to say over the past 3 months, I've lost a lot of good
Mm.
friends to cancer, to suicide. I've left, a lot of other things have been happening. And there's a deep, dark, crippling depression that happens at the center of your soul and the people around that are affected by that. And you miss these people. And those are the demons that scratch at me and get me to question my own existence and my own happiness, but it's also what fuels me because I don't know if tomorrow's promised. So I'm going to go do
Yeah,
everything that I can. And every single time I get in front of that mic and get my guitar on, it's like the first time I've ever done it.
Yeah,
and
and
so
for like our listeners that do battle with depression or currently battling it, what advice do you have for that they can do to try to beat that demon? I mean, we know pick up music, listen to it, but like, what else are you doing specifically when you're unable to pick up that guitar or jump on stage to get you through that day to day?
For me, it's self compassion, knowing that, hey, dude, we all feel this. We're all going through this stuff. And give myself a little more leeway. Like, it's okay to feel this way. You can't always be Superman. You can't
Mhm.
always be chipper the rest of the way the world wants you to be, especially if you're in a demanding job. You got to be cheery and stuff. No, that's not being human. We feel happiness just as much as we feel sad, and we need the balance between the two because it gives significance to both. So giving yourself that self-compassion and then pouring out to the people that love you, don't be afraid to do that. That's why people are
Yes.
here for us.
I love
Community,
that message.
community peeps, 100,000%. It saved me.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I know, Dan, Distortion and its label, Bored to Death Record, are independently run by band members, and it was created essentially with you and more cats in the scene. Am I correct on saying that?
Yes, correct. Yeah. So we released Flies, our EP, through Bored to Death Records, and it's also owned and operated by myself. And Bored to Death Records is that conduit. So the bands are the vehicle here, and Bored to Death is collecting the bands that have that same mentality, that want to contribute to the punk rock community and give more than we take. And so what I'm trying to do with Bored to Death is establish a little bit more, one step at a time, that community that we need to help to battle with our own afflictions. And there's a certain quality to it too. We're pure DIY. We get to call the shots the way we want to. And that's the way I want my artists to feel too, that you're not going to be pressured to push sales on an album or pack out a show. That's what DIY punk is all about. It's the feeling, it's the journey along the way.
That's
Yeah, because
bomb. I
I'm
love
starting to
that.
notice a trend heavily where it seems like a lot of veteran artists are now starting to create their own independent record labels or releasing music on their own. And why is it that, young groups are still sticking with established labels compared to branching out and doing their own thing? What are you seeing that's evolving now in the year 2023?
Well, there's a lot of support and services that a traditional label would provide that a lot of people don't have access to. First of all, like, it costs a lot of money to properly record and mix and master a song. You may not have that capital. It costs a lot of
Mhm.
money to promote and market your shows and your album and who you are, and build your social channels. And you may not have the capital for that, or the support, or the knowledge to do it. And that's where a good label comes in and provides that. Now, if you're on a major label, you've got a lot more stressors. You're signing a pretty big contract. You've got making a lot of commitments. And at that point, you've got a pretty good product, your music, that has some sort of backing. But if you're going to join like independent label like DIY, like Bored to Death, we have a different philosophy behind things. We want to grow with you, and we're going to use what you have, the resources that you have, but also bring in where you're weak. And we're going to do this together.
Yeah, and like how starting your own record label, Bored to Death, impacted the way that you approach making and releasing music, or has it not much changed?
Having my own label means that I have access to my own studio. I'm here in my mix room. Next to me is my blasting room. And I'm creating a network of other professionals, between venue owners, promoters, other artists, other engineers, to continue doing what we're doing. And we get to take the time that we want to really produce the best music that we can, not singles. We're producing albums. We believe in every track being banging.
Thank you!
Lame. I love my
Oh,
singles.
Dan, you were
And
the first.
you
I'm
were
sorry.
going so good. You
No,
were
no,
going
no. I'm
so
so excited.
good,
No,
Dan. I
Marissa,
was
you
like
do not
this.
get to speak.
I
You
was
do not get to
this.
speak on this issue. I finally had someone who gets to agree with me after, like, how many freaking artists have we been talking with, Marissa, who have said we are leaving
If
the
only
traditional
two
route?
people are saying one thing, you might need to relook at it.
Okay. Now, Dan,
There's
you
not.
just
Look,
heard what Marissa
I
said.
love the album. I love the EP, and I think you should go into your music with that as your goal, and not just some random song. But
Dan,
there's nothing wrong with a little sneak peek single. Okay,
yeah, Dan,
do it.
bring the energy. Let Marissa know something that she needs to know as the listening and music experience when it
Let,
comes to a full LP.
let me delineate here. Usually, a good single is a preview to a badass album.
That's
That's
right.
what it should be. Look at Sam I Am. Sam I Am has been releasing
Oh,
3 singles, and they collected it as an EP as a precursor to their new album dropping here at end of March. Oh, and
see,
I'm excited
perfect.
about it. Yes.
That's
Whoa.
how singles should be used. No, really, it should. Not just the one hit banger. And then when you put them together, you don't understand where the thought process or mind was behind it. That's called my Spotify playlist,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But that's not an
Marissa,
album. But I still want to be teased. I want to
well,
be
yeah,
teased.
but to be also fair too, that is one factor, Marissa. But we've also explored other artists who have utilized singles as being something that we only drop every 2 or 3 years. And one of the first bands I could think of who is dominating the Billboard charts consistently is Ronnie Radke with his band Falling in Reverse. He's got the support from Epitaph Records to not drop an album and to only drop 1 or 2 singles every 3 years. I hate it. And I want to know, do you see this as being the new mindset with not just in the rock and roll scene, but all genres of music?
As an artist, I want to write albums. As an artist, I have a lot to say. As an artist, I want to find the support, a label, some sort of deal where I can write an album. But I also recognize that the music industry is changing and our attention spans with the mass audiences or people who love music may be shortening too. And if you're looking for mass critical success, hate to say, singles might be the way to go because it's a way that you can promote a specific entry in your catalog and put all the promotions behind that.
It's your
Now,
calling card. Like,
it's a calling card.
hello,
Sure.
this is me.
I don't adopt to that model because
Thank you.
I'm approaching it differently. I want to write albums.
Dad just gives you the whole entire address book, and he's like, "Listen to it."
Well, yeah, I mean, that is a good point. I mean, to play devil's advocate, I know last week, Barry Mia, they were kind of explaining that, like, we don't like to drop a full album all the way. Or no, excuse me, it was the band Dead All Right.
Yeah.
He was talking about how he felt like when I drop a full-length album, being a punk rocker, it just felt like there's so many songs that got missed out that weren't listened to. Is that something you should be concerned about?
If that's your goal. If that's your goal is to get the mass views across a whole album, I'm sorry, you're in for a rude awakening. That's just, it doesn't happen. Look at all of the punk rock bands or any major bands. You look at those albums, look at the views on that. You got one or two songs that really are the singles, that had some critical success, and the rest of the album drops. That's what happens. And what I'm trying to do is form a connection with the core, the super fan, the one that listens to that album left and from A to Z, that identifies with that sings along to every song of the show. That's the super fan that I want.
That's right, baby. And since we are setting the tone right now, we have put together here on Strike a Chord a lyric video for your opening track that's called Castaways on your debut EP called Flies, which, by the way, Dan Mitre, badass artwork that you drew up. And we're going to be playing that song right now, called Castaways, live on the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show. Rock and roll. That is Distortions single that is called Castaways, and you can find it on their debut EP, Flies. And Dan, we can't thank you enough for the double
Yes.
whammy show here on the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show. And what is your message for fans who can look ahead to the coming months when it comes to Distortions?
We are working on some new material. We're working on a full album that we're going to be very, very proud about. And we've got a lot of shows happening here in the Triangle area. We've got some awesome shows coming up. One specifically on May 4th at the Pinhook. It's Star Wars Pumpkin Drag.
Okay.
Ooh, I wish I was there for that.
I've got three.
Who would have thought that we would ever hear Star Wars and Pumpkin Drag all in
It
the
sounds
same
like
sentence?
it meshes beautifully.
Oh, it's a thing. May the 4th. So we're going to celebrate. I've got three beautiful queens coming out doing awesome drag acts between three awesome bands, Distortions, Bonies, and Overgrown Throne.
Hey, man, sounds like quite the jam, my friend. And Dan Mitre, can't thank you enough, as always, for always coming on the Chris Collins Show. And much success to you and all your band members in the future, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks,
Thank
Dan.
you, Marissa.
Absolutely, Dan. And for everybody that's joining us live on the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show, stick around as we have more left. This is What's Good because we want to set the tone. We want to let you guys hear something that is so impactful, so promising, so inspirational. And I love this story because last weekend, Alex Roca made history, becoming the first person in the world with 76% disability to complete a marathon. So the Nike-sponsored athlete posted a triumphant, joyful video on Twitter, capturing the crowd's cheers as he worked down the final stretch of the Barcelona Marathon.
Y ahora sí, hemos hecho historia. Me he convertido en la primera persona del mundo con un 76% de discapacidad física en lograr una maratón. ¡Vamos!
And as you can see right here on the lower third, this cat, Alex, completed this marathon in 5 hours and 50 minutes. I don't know about you, Marissa, but it's going to take me more like 10 hours and 50 minutes to complete a marathon. And the fact that like he ran 26 miles is totally insane. I got so much kudos for anybody that wants to put themselves through any kind of rigorous task like that. And
Yeah, the LA Marathon just happened last Sunday.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And I mean, and to prove that like just because a disability might make some things difficult in your life, that you know, to see this, very cool. Again, 76% disability to complete a marathon. Very cool. That's why Nike has you on your back. But we also want to say thank you to our jam-packed show that we had here today. My co-host of video game talk show, Rage Quit, HenricK The WrecK, joined us. Join us live every Tuesday as we do that show at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on YouTube or wherever you're streaming this show currently right now today. And also Dan Mitre, who has an amazing new punk rock trio group called Distortions. And you can check out their debut EP, Flies, wherever you listen to podcast and music. And also want to let you guys know that we got an amazing guest that's going to be joining us next week because it is, after all, MLB opening day kicking off this Thursday. And we're going to be talking about all things sports with CCS sports contributor Kevin Drake. And also check out my music podcast called Off the Fret, more music talk, featuring Nashville country star Amanda Cooksey, out now on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you like what you're listening to, go to thechriscollinsshow.com, become a member today, and get that free CCS t-shirt. For now, enjoy the weekend, fam, and we'll see you next week. Peace. What's good? It's Chris from The Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show, featuring Nashville singer-songwriter Amanda Cooksey, known for her breakup songs, crop tops, and TikTok covers, is a refreshing new voice in country music. Joins Off the Fret. More music talk. What's good, party people? Chris Collins Show presents Music Storm 2022, hosted by Chris Collins and Marissa Pitts, featuring Royals, Hurricane Highway, Cannibal Kids, Amanda Cooksey, Astoria State, Kid Dad, Resounding, Sleep Cycles, Avenues, Freckles, Weather Worn, Just True, Sophia Marie, Music Storm 2022. Available wherever you listen to podcasts. Our brand new podcast, Off the Fret.
I love it. It's more time to chat. Hello.
You look
Can you
so
hear me?
jazzy. I love your outfit. How far would you go to start playing live music again? This slaps harder than my ex when she got her stimulus check. So, are you here to bring the sexual healing with your music? Called Everything is Everything, and I guarantee you're going to hear this song in the future. I love the flow, man. Politically charged album. So, if you get easily offended, this might not be the album for you. Brand new podcast, Off the Fret.
So excited.
Has Kim Kardashian accidentally sent you a coochie shot?
Do you want to stay there? It's completely your choice. Or you want to...
I feel you. And you know what I love? Off the Fret. More music talk. Peace.